Hello, BookTube. Well, the guys at Strip Cover Lit did their fourth and final read-along for J.R.R. Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring. They went out on a bang. It's a wonderful video. I'll leave a link down below. And I thought I'd make a video myself because I've been sort of following along with reading through The Fellowship. And as usual, I thought we'd start with a little bit of plot synopsis, just to bring any of you who maybe haven't read the book up to speed. The basic plot is that a ring of vast and malevolent power has fallen into the hands of a hobbit named Frodo Baggins, who's decided to go on a quest to seek its destruction. And he and his friends get to the elf city of Rivendell, where they are met and joined with the Fellowship of the Ring, a group of 9 people who will go on at least a part of Frodo's mission with him to Mount Doom in the far east of Middle-earth, where the Dark Lord Sauron rules. Sauron is the one who made the ring, and he very much wants it back. And the thing is impregnable to destruction by normal means, but they want to destroy it, to remove its evil from Middle-earth completely. The only way to do that is to walk it into Mordor and throw it into Mount Doom. So that's what they're going to do. And almost immediately after the Fellowship sets out from Rivendell, their path is complicated, they run into problems, and finally, in the mines of Moria, in the underground dwarf city of Dwarodelf, tragedy strikes. Gandalf, the wizard who had been their de facto leader, falls into an abyss in combat with a creature called a Balrog. And that's where our last reading segment ended. And then in this current reading segment, the remains of the Fellowship are scattered about. There's Sam and Merry and Pippin and Frodo, the 4 hobbits. There's Legolas, who's a woodland elf. There's Gimli, who's a dwarf. There's Aragorn, who's not only a member of an ancient lineage of humankind, but also the heir to the entire kingdom of the West, although nobody at present knows that in our Fellowship. And there's Boromir, a headstrong warrior from the kingdom of Gondor, who came to Rivendell seeking help with understanding visions of portending doom, and has been amazed and frustrated by the fact that he's now learned that the one ring of power is known, that it's in the hands of this little hobbit, and also frustrated with the plan to destroy it instead of use it, even though he's been told over and over again that it's evil and that it warps the people who use it to make them evil as well. That Fellowship now, without their leader, is, when we meet them, they're just outside of Moria and they flee. They make for the elf city, the elf kingdom of Lothlorien, which is ruled over by a couple, basically a king and a queen, Celeborn and his lady Galadriel. And they get to the kingdom of Lothlorien, and the elves who guard it insist that they be blindfolded, insist that they be watched the whole time. Lothlorien guards its borders. But eventually our group comes before Celeborn and Galadriel and tells their story of what's happened to them, including the horrible news that Gandalf has fallen into the abyss and didn't make it out again, didn't make it through Moria. And this comes as a shock to Galadriel, for instance. She wants to know where Gandalf is when she first meets them. She wants to know. Gandalf the Grey set out with a company, but he did not pass the borders of this land. Now tell us where he is, for I much desire to speak with him again, but I cannot see him from afar, unless he comes within the fences of Lothlorien. A grey mist is about him, and the ways of his feet and of his mind are hidden to me. And that's when she's told that that Gandalf has disappeared, that he's fallen. She and her husband bid the travelers rest and recover in Lothlorien, which is an enchanted land where shadows don't fall. And one night, she comes to find Frodo and leads him to the Mirror of Galadriel, a pool, a fountain that has smooth pooled water that can show things that are, things that have been, and maybe some things that might be. And Frodo soon realizes that he's being tested. It's not a malicious way, but he senses that Galadriel is worried about the One Ring, and at one point, when he's looking in the mirror of Galadriel, he offers it to her. Let me see if I can find that spot, because that's worth reading. He says to her, "I will give you the One Ring if you ask for it. It is too great a matter for me." And Galadriel says, she laughed a sudden clear laugh. "Wise the Lady Galadriel may be," she said, "and yet here she has met her match in courtesy. Gently are you revenged for my testing of your heart at our first meeting. You begin to see with a keen eye. I do not deny that my heart has greatly desired to ask what you offer. For many long years I have pondered what I might do should the great ring come into my hands, and behold, it was brought within my grasp. The evil that was devised long ago works on in many ways, whether Sauron himself stands or falls. Would not that have been a noble deed to set to the credit of his ring, if I had taken by force of fear from my guest? And now it comes at last. You will give me the ring freely. In place of a dark lord you will set up a queen, and I shall not be dark, but beautiful and terrible as the morning and the night, fair as the sea and the sun and the snow upon the mountain, dreadful as the storm and the lightning, stronger than the foundations of the earth. All shall love me and despair." And then the spasm passes over her. The horrible temptation of it passes over her, because she has revealed in this interview to Frodo that she bears one of the 3 elven rings herself. So, to put it mildly, the idea that giving her the one ring of power might make her the match of Sauron is understating things. But you can almost hear her shivering, and then she says, "I pass the test. I will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel." She and her husband and the elves of Lothlorien furnish our heroes with supplies and send them on their way down the great river Anduin. But the whole time that they're doing this, the whole time that they're making portage and dodging orc arrows and whatnot, Boromir is increasingly restless. He doesn't understand why the plan is to sneak into the very heart of the enemy in the hopes that they'll be able to destroy the one thing that can beat the enemy. And at one point later on, towards the very end of the last chapters that we're reading here, in the woods, he has gone off to talk with Frodo alone. And Frodo quickly realizes that the evil of the ring is not theoretical, and that it has gripped Boromir, Tolkien gives him a great peroration while Frodo just looks on, horrified. He says, Frodo has told him the ring has to be destroyed, and he says, "So you go on. Gandalf, Elrond, all these folk have taught you to say so. For themselves they may be right, these elves and half-elves and wizards. They would come to a grief, perhaps. Yet often I doubt if they are wise or not merely timid. But each to his own. True-hearted men, they will not be corrupted. We of Minas Tirith have been staunched through long years of trial. We do not desire the power of wizard lords, only strength to defend ourselves, strength in a just cause. And behold, in our need, chance brings to light the ring of power. It is a gift, I say, a gift to the foes of Mordor. It is mad not to use it, to use the power of the enemy against him. The fearless, the ruthless, these alone will achieve victory. What could not a warrior do in this hour, a great leader? What could not Aragorn do? Or if he refuses, why not Boromir? The ring would give me power of command. How I would drive the hosts of Mordor, and all men would flock to my banner." Note the similarity. Note he and Galadriel are both tempted, and both of them see the same things when they're tempted. They see visions of the future in which they are setting things right using the power of the ring. And what Galadriel realizes and Boromir doesn't is that in those visions, they control everything. Frodo is horrified, puts the ring on, vanishes, disappears from Boromir's grasp, and realizes that if he's going to go to Mordor, he's going to have to go alone. At the very last minute, he is joined by his servant and friend Sam, and they head off to Mordor. But the fellowship is shattered. when they finally find Boromir with his head in his hands, horrified and aghast at what he has tried, he's recovered his wits, just like Galadriel does, only too late. By then, it's the moment has passed. Frodo and Sam are long gone, and the Fellowship seems shattered beyond repair. And the book ends that way. It's not the end of the book, of course. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings as one novel, so this is just the first couple of sections of that novel. But the main point that I wanted to make this time around for these sections is that in these sections we finally see something that has only ever been told to us or hinted at. We see it twice. We see the danger of the ring, that it causes temptation. It causes people to want to wield it. We've never really directly seen that before. We've had people talk about it, and we've seen the horrible end results in what's happened to Gollum. And we've also been told unequivocally, Elrond and Gandalf have said, I don't want it. I don't want to touch it. And now we see why. Galadriel and Boromir are both tempted by the ring, and it's an ugly thing to see. And the point that I wanted to make, the point that you might miss if you're reading this, especially for the first time, is what Tolkien isn't telling you in these same chapters, where he shows us the grand operatic temptation of Galadriel, and he shows us the grubby Hitler-style temptation of Boromir. And what we don't see in these chapters or anywhere else is Frodo feeling anything like that. He has the ring around his neck the whole time. And not only is he not tempted to put it on, but he's not tempted to use it. He doesn't feel the pull of it. That's a very understated, sort of mute testimony to the very quiet, very simple nobility that Tolkien gives him. That he himself is not a character in conflict about the ring. It doesn't exert any authority over him. And I really like that. So the guys at Stripcover Lit are done with Tolkien. They're going to do a wrap-up video, final thoughts and whatnot, but they're not going on, as far as I know, they're not going on to read The Two Towers and The Return of the King. But I'm going to. So next time we will start The Two Towers. We'll do the first 6 chapters in The Two Towers, and we'll see where that lands us. Thank you, BookTube.